Hello. This is an area that some of you might be aware of already, but may not be. And it's a great thing for the working world, really. It's called mail merge. So what this will do, as part of the syllabus for the advanced qualification in word processing, it will look at mail merge, but in a with more depth than it's done previously. So it'll look at what it is, what it does, and how you can actually use some of these. You can use the if rule, so it's like an Excel if then or else rule. So those of you know that will sort of get your head around it. But it shows you how to use it. It's also quite relevant to the exam. But if you are asked in the real world to create a mail merge, then you can run off hundreds and hundreds of documents to different sources, different addresses, different people, etc. So really useful to know, part of the syllabus. This is Stephanie Toman. I hope you enjoy. Okay, we're opening up mail merge. We can have a little look at getting our heads around what a mail merge is, in case you've not done it before with ICDL. So let's open up number 1, mail merge doc, and say no, because then we don't need to see the data source. So basically you've got a standard letter, main document. They call them so many different things, but it is a letter usually. And then you have data sources, different types from different applications coming in through the mailings tab, and you can see the mailings up here. So this is the way that we bring that data source in. Nothing lights up along here, becomes available until you do bring the data source in. Then once it's in, we can do things with it, manipulate it, and then we can merge and finish it. And we can also, when we're manipulating these letters, we can use something called rules, which is a little bit more than we've done in the past. So if we just close this and open up a new Word document, and using those files you've got, suggest you have them on your desktop, just easier. So go into the mailings tab whenever you get a mail merge question. We're going to bring in some recipients from our folder. We've got quite a few to play with. So if we bring in, mine are on my desktop, and take a little while to get, probably could have done with moving them, but let's bring in the editing data source. Nothing happens, but this lights up. So nothing happens in the document, but this does light up. This means our source is in there, our editing source. So let's have a look what it looks like. You may be asked to do something to the data before you start your mail merge. It might be sorting by sending in last name. It might be filtering to Sunderland only. So be aware that something like that can happen. You cannot delete this data source unless you go through this way. This is protection almost, because people can do things, by mistake. Once you click on edit, then you can go in and delete the source, but otherwise you can't do it from the front end. So we're happy with that. We can check, is there anything going on, any dots in the title, stuff like that. Everything seems fine. The way that we drop the fields into it, these are the fields that are going to be different according to what we want. So we've got title space, drop first name space, last name, enter, address 1, enter, address 2, enter, and city. To preview those with our data source, what they look like, this is how they look. You can click through them and back again. You can change them, so you can delete those out. You can go and get a different data source. So through this way again, using existing, back into desktop, back in, and you've got the same letter, but you could use a different data source. I could use addressees. Once again, you can't see them, but they are there. If we look at them here first, you can see your data there. And if you drop them in, because I've got my preview on, you can actually see what they are as well. And then if I wanted to merge anything, then I could just pop a few more in. Just click on the finish and merge, individual to new document, OK, and then you can see that that would give each recipient data on each letter. Those data sources have to be brought through here into the document. You can't just go outside the document, double click on them and expect them to drop into mail merge, because they won't. They just open in the application that they're in. But if you do bring them through the mailings feature, they work really well. Let's have a look at something that takes it a little bit further. We're going to look at demo showrooms. So if we open up the demo customers list, we're going to bring in the database customers list. So we open up the demo with customer. And this is a little bit more to it. So this is our letter. We're going to bring in our data source. So through mailings again, select recipients using existing. Back to desktop. At least in the exam, you'll only be going to the Z drive. It will be sitting there waiting for you. And we're going to bring in the customer list. If we have a look at the list here, you can see that this is how it is. And it looks like there's just 2 towns or cities. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to preview the first one. And we're going to look at this feature where we can use the rules. So specify rules for the mail merge. So we're going to use the if, then, and else, which is the example. And it means if it meets a certain criteria, if the field meets a certain criteria, then it wants us to drop one thing in, otherwise to drop something else in. Okay. So in this case, we have some people that need to come and see their cars in showrooms. And we've got, in Sunderland, we've got a place in Park Road, but in Newcastle, we have a place in North Road. And if you look at the list, the recipients list, we have those 2 places there. So if we place our cursor, let's have a look and see what we need to do. So we go to the rules, there's the if, then, and else. It's not the title we're looking at, we're looking at the city. So that's the one we're basing our criteria on. So if the city is equal to Sunderland, then we want our recipients to come to Park Road showroom. I'm not going to write in showroom. Otherwise, or else, we want them to come to the North Road showroom. Okay, you can see it's put the first one in. I'm not going to change it and format it to the rest of the text. I want you to see it clear when we do it. So if we look at the previews now, we've got a Sunderland and we've got a Park Road. Keep going to it. There's a Newcastle North Road. So it's worked. So it's done the rule. It's met the criteria for us. When we finish and merge into a new document, then we'll see that they all fit according to where they live. So a great little feature in the rules. Let's look at test question. Typical test question, a little bit more going on. So close that. So coming out, we're going to open up the demo question. I'm just going to drag this onto my desktop and then I don't have to go in and looking for stuff so much. So in the exam, it might open up with the, you've obviously got the question. Let's put the question up. This would be the question across the question bar. And it's asking us to use a document called proposal that may or may not be open already. That's the letter, and it wants us to bring in a data source of addresses, and then we'll look at the rule. So first of all, we'll open up the proposal. Here it is, got some fields in there. If you go to the mailings tab, nothing is lit up as yet. So we need to bring in the addresses, recipient list, or data source even. It's called quite a lot of different things. Okay, so I need to be on desktop first. I popped it in here to make my life easier, and I'm going to bring in the addresses. Now when I preview, I can see that these have different titles. Okay, and I've noticed there's a full stop. Okay, back to the question. Just minimize that. So using the mail merge feature, we know that we're using an if, then, or else. Replace the text resident below the date with a field to display Sir if the client title is Mr. with a dot, full stop. Otherwise, display Madam. So let's have a look at that. So we've got our proposal doc already here. Let's open this up. There we go. So we've got our text resident. We know we've got everything in there that we need. So let's double click on resident. So we're overriding that with a field that it meets a certain criteria. Put that in, otherwise put something else in. So we've highlighted that. Clicking rules, if, then, or else. It is titles, that's correct. If the title is Mr. Dot, then insert Sir, otherwise insert Madam. It's not clever enough to do any more than one or the other. Okay, just like an if. Okay, so if we okay that, we've seen the first one's correct. We can check a few others. Yep, they seem fine. And then it's asking us, last part of the question, to merge and finish the merge off. Click on the edit individual documents. Okay. And then what you should see is that check them. Got a Sir for Mr. and etc. until we get to a Madam. Now be aware that if you do it in the exam and you've forgotten about the full stop and it doesn't work, just redo it again. Okay, don't clear down in the exam unless you really have to. Last resort, you can undo things to a certain extent as long as you don't hit the button to answer until you're ready. Okay, so that's a typical question. Please concentrate on that one, be aware of it, and I'm going to be doing some revision exercise questions next in the next series. Thank you.